Robert Whitaker versus Reinier de Ridder. Now, who really won this fight? It was very close, and the official split decision was RDR winning the fight 48-47. They gave him rounds 2, 4, and 5. 2 and 4 is understandable. The 5th round is the most controversial. Some people think Whitaker should have won the round. Some people think RDR should have won the round. It seems like a big point of contention is that all RDR did was hold Whitaker against the fence, wall installed the fight, and just wrote out the clock. Whitaker was the one who landed more damage, so that seems to be an argument as to why some people disagree with the scorecards. One of them scored it for Whitaker. They gave him rounds 1, 3, and 4. Not the 5th round. They gave Whitaker the 4th round, which I disagree with. I think if there is a round that is up in the air, it is that 5th round. So we'll be looking at the 5th round here as to who won the fight. It's 2-2 going into it. And to score it the most accurately possible, we're going to categorize every single strike in accordance to damage, because based off the scoring criteria, damage is the most important. This goes for both striking and grappling, but since the 5th round was pretty much all striking, that's what we're going to look at. Aggression and octagon control are not going to be scored, according to the official scoring criteria. So both guys are tired going into it. They look gassed in the corner, especially Whitaker. That's due to all the body shots throughout the fight, and that Whitaker just doesn't seem like he's the same fighter that he used to be. How can you be in your prime still when you've been on top for so long, you know? But Whitaker comes out there with the first shot. He throws a jab, and it looks like it doesn't reach to the head of RDR. RDR was able to move away from it, as well as pick up his right arm to deflect the punch, causing it to fall short. But then Whitaker throws another jab, and this one lands. At the very end of it, we're going to count it as a light strike. RDR doesn't give him much of a reaction from taking the punch, so then Whitaker throws another jab. This one misses. It goes right past RDR's head as RDR's throwing a body kick, but he does get countered by the body kick. The body kick somewhat lands, not the most powerful body kick, but then both fighters throw their left hand after. Whitaker lands a jab as RDR lands a left hook. And again, none of these shots were that damaging. Then it's RDR moving forward, and he throws a long jab, hits Whitaker square in the face, and Whitaker does not react to it whatsoever before and after it. Whitaker goes to counter with a jab of his own that goes over the head of RDR, while RDR is throwing a left hand that also misses Whitaker. It goes right past the head, so both guys miss their shots there. Now we get to a heavier shot from Whitaker. He springs forward into an explosive jab. This one gets a reaction out of RDR. We're going to count this one as a medium strike. RDR is ducking under after taking the blow, and he's trying to rotate around, defending himself. Then they both land left hooks on each other, but Whitaker seemed to have more impact as RDR gave a bigger reaction. Then they get into a clinch, and Whitaker lands a right hand to the chin, very light strike. RDR pushes him against the fence and lands 20 strikes against the fence. Some of them slightly heavier than others, but all are pretty much light. Like, none of them really give much of an impact. So he lands some body shots, he lands some punches up top, he throws a knee in there, which could arguably be in between a light and medium shot, but Whitaker doesn't give that type of reaction out there. RDR does land an uppercut that also seems like it could be between a light or medium, but before Whitaker exits the clinch, there are 20 light strikes for RDR that land in that single clinch sequence. That is the advantage of using your size against the opponent to hold him against the fence and constantly just land shots to ride out the clock. You're going to be accumulating more damage, even though it's very small. He is the one doing at least some damage between the two as he's controlling the position of his opponent in the octagon. So it's not the most entertaining to watch, it's not that exciting, but it is effective to win decisions, especially if you're neutralizing the opponent's offense from them landing big shots, right? So that's what RDR is essentially doing here. He's playing a game of neutralizing the offense of Whitaker while doing just enough to win the decision for himself. So we go here and RDR throws another knee. This time it misses. It goes past the entire body of Whitaker, but then he throws a left hand behind it and lands with his forearm to the face. Whitaker throws a counter punch, and because RDR ducks his head under, it does hit the back of the head. So they're in the clinch again, but this time, all RDR was able to land was a shoulder strike before Whitaker disengages and exits. So then in the center of the octagon, Whitaker throws another jab and partially lands it as RDR is pulling his head away, and he goes to duck under for a takedown. So there is still somewhat more impact, but I would still say it's a light strike overall. Not that powerful of a shot from Robert Whitaker, but from the takedown, Whitaker was able to defend it, but he gets clinched against the fence again, and RDR continues the clinch strikes. And he lands a total of 12 shots before Whitaker disengages and counters him with a right elbow, and that gets RDR to back away. So it seems like RDR is the one who's landing these very light strikes against the fence, and Whitaker is landing more meaningful, heavier shots, although just not a lot of them. Until this moment. So Whitaker lands a jab that wasn't too powerful, and RDR counters with a much more powerful knee to the body. This is his biggest strike of the round so far. Then he follows up that shot with a left hook up top. Now Whitaker throws a jab, but it looks like his thumb got into the eye of RDR, not necessarily the punch itself. Then in this moment, Whitaker throws another jab, and this one lands a lot better. Gets a good reaction out of RDR, but he takes the punch and uses that to go under for a takedown, which gets defended by Whitaker, and he exits away with a parting gift, a right hand to the chin. So after both fighters missed their jabs, RDR again tries to clinch with Whitaker, but he gets countered this time as Whitaker lands a short right hand to the jaw. There wasn't as much impact, RDR didn't give much of a reaction to it, so it's going to be a light strike. But then after Whitaker accepts the clinch, doesn't try to exit from there, and he gets pushed up against the fence, RDR continues the clinch strikes. He starts with another slow knee to the body, but lands a total of 14 strikes against the fence. Now one of them does look like it may have missed, but it's hard to see from the camera angle, so he throws a left hand to the body. It looked like it may have missed and went in between him and Whitaker instead of landing the punch on Whitaker's body. So it could be 13, it could be 14 strikes. It's not going to make too much of a difference as RDR is going to have way more strikes overall than Whitaker does. But again, we can come back to it if it makes a difference. And as usual, after Whitaker disengages from all of those clinch strikes, he tends to land one bigger shot of his own. And this time, he fakes a left hand, lines up a right straight to the body that lands flush, punching RDR away from him. But because he's the behemoth that he is, RDR takes a shot pretty well. But this is another medium strike for Robert Whitaker. Whitaker throws another body shot, but this time it looks like it may have grazed. For like a single frame, you see the impact to the body, so it does look like it may have grazed the body. But then he springs forward again, and this time RDR counters him with another knee to the body, and Whitaker is throwing the right overhand that seems to land on the side of the chest, which I don't know if we count that, but definitely a much bigger shot from RDR. But Whitaker takes it pretty well. He continues to throw a left hook, which misses as RDR fades out. Then in the center of the octagon, it's RDR that moves forward and lands a jab that rotates Whitaker's head. This is a bigger jab than the one he landed before. And it just goes to show you, man, Whitaker just doesn't see those jabs. RDR is throwing them with good form. And I think because of the reach that he has, he's crossing that distance a lot quicker than Whitaker expects. Because RDR is a very slow fighter in general. But if he uses the full extension of his reach and throws a shot with less telegraph, he could land shots like this in distance, where it usually benefits Whitaker, right? Whitaker loves to fight in the center of the octagon, like a kickboxing style. But routinely that jab just seems to get through. So he goes forward again. Whitaker tries to intercept him with a jab, but RDR gets his head off the center line and partially lands a left overhand. You can see it was slightly blocked by Whitaker, but also somewhat gets around the hand and lands on the side of the head. But this one's actually more impactful than the rest of the punches he landed. It's a very similar shot he landed in the 4th round that seemed to have stunned Whitaker for a moment. This one's not as big, but it does get a reaction out of Whitaker when he lands it. So I'll say it's a medium shot. Whitaker lands a right straight to the chest. As RDR is moving forward, Whitaker misses his counter left hook and gets grazed by the left overhand from RDR. Then later, RDR throws a knee to the body which gets blocked and deflected off to the side. But he uses the follow through of that to clinch up with Whitaker and push him up against the fence, continuing his clinch strikes. He lands 17 strikes before Whitaker exits. The issue with Whitaker is he's not throwing anything when he's clinched up with RDR. Like if he actually returned with some shots that didn't just sit in there, it would benefit him more. Because when RDR is landing all of these strikes in the clinch, Whitaker is just sitting there doing nothing. He's not busy landing shots or creating any sort of damage, even if it's very small. Like RDR is benefiting from that, whereas Whitaker is not even giving the same effort. And as the routine goes, after he exits away from the clinch, Whitaker springs forward for a big shot, but misses the jab this time. And he brings down the right hand of RDR. It looked like he was trying to line up the right hand, but he doesn't throw it. As RDR gives him the same exact reaction every single time, he moves his head away, ducks, and tries to clinch up or go for a takedown. It's the same exact routine every single time. But Whitaker defends it. It lands a right hook on the forehead. Whitaker goes forward again and he tries to line up the right straight. RDR tries to counter with the knee to the body, but Whitaker evades the shot but gets slapped up the side of the head by the flailing left hand of RDR. I swear it's like he just flails his arms out there and they land. Man, if he ever fights Dricus, that fight's gonna be something else. Whitaker moves forward again and throws a feint. And this time, he times that same reaction out of RDR when he ducks his head and looks for a takedown. He lands a short right straight into a right high kick the RDR ducks into. And Whitaker throws an overhand. It misses the head and slams onto the collarbone of RDR. Whitaker continues and he lands a jab. RDR pulls his head away from it just like usual, so it doesn't cause that much impact for it to be more than a light strike. And the round ends as RDR has Whitaker in the clinch and just racks up more clinch strikes to try to win the round. And he lands a total of 7 strikes in the clinch, ending the round. Now there was a knee that he threw at the head, but it doesn't fully land. All the shots he landed there were light, and that ends the 5th round. So who won this round? By tallying up all the damage, you have to give it to Reinier de Ridder. Although Whitaker arguably landed more damaging individual shots, it was only by 3, right? He has only 3 more medium shots. And immediate damage does trump cumulative damage, but at what point? When someone beats your total strikes by a factor of like 5, I don't know if you actually win the round off of that. You know, Whitaker didn't land any heavy strikes, which would have been a big difference. But the fact that he only landed 3 more medium shots, he never really hurt RDR, I can't give it to Robert Whitaker. The fact that RDR landed 83 total strikes, the damaging shots were not even that different, while landing 64 more strikes overall. I think the numbers are way too great, right? This is not just like he landed 30 strikes. 83 to 19 is ridiculous, with the damaging shots not even being that much greater for Whitaker. So I believe Reinier de Ridder wins the 5th round and ultimately winning the decision. So I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. If you guys did, make sure to give it a like. Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Who did you guys think won the fight? And what do you think of the fight as a whole? Do you see RDR eventually getting that title shot? And what did you think of Whittaker's performance? I thought he looked somewhat washed, to be honest. But now RDR is one of the top fighters in the middleweight division. And it's going to be very interesting in who he fights next, because he could fight the loser of the title fight. He could fight Strickland. He could fight Adesanya. Any one of those 3 fights makes sense for RDR. And honestly, he has a good chance against some of those guys. And maybe he fights soon. I mean, he took this fight very quickly after he beat Bo Nickel. We'll see. And I'll see you guys in the next video, which is going to be the recap of the entire card.